Hi friends, welcome to my channel. For those of you that are new here, my name is Caitlin and I like to do eyeshadow palette ranking and review videos. So if that's content that you are interested in, you should definitely hit that subscribe button. And if you are not new here, my face is happy that you're seeing it again. And today I am doing two looks with the Sugar High palette from Menagerie Cosmetics. This is what the inside looks like. Super pretty. This is look number 2. I did do both looks before getting ready for work, so I'm just going to be doing a voiceover for the tutorials as I kind of, just did the makeup. So anyways, don't look at this look too closely right now because I have had it on for like 10.5 hours. It's the end of my work day, and so now I'm filming the rest of this video. So anyways, if you're interested in seeing how I created this look as well as another look using the Menagerie Cosmetics Sugar High palette, then you should definitely like this video and go ahead and keep on watching. Okay, so we're starting with the shade Slice on a fluffy blending brush, and I'm just putting that in the front like third of my crease. Yeah, just blending that out. Now I forgot to point out where it is on the palette, but I'm using Yogurt Drop on another fluffy crease brush, but just doing that on the outer portion of my crease where I didn't put that orange shade. And now I'm taking it onto my lid a little bit, just building it up. These shadows are a little bit harder to press, so you have to build them up. And now I'm going in with a flat brush in the shade Sugary Sweet. And I did spray this brush with Fix Plus, so like a setting spray, and put that just like all over the lid. And I didn't love that this shimmery shade was darker than the Yogurt Drop matte, so I went in with Furry Friend on like a smaller blending brush to just build up the depth in the crease. And now I'm just blending all of that out. You know how it goes. Okay, so added liner, and now I'm gonna do my base and come right back. Here's me coming back. I'm doing Furry Friend with that same smaller fluffy brush on the lower lash line, and then blending that out with Slice. And then that is it. That's the final first look. Super, super easy, very Phoenix Sunsy. I put my highlight as my inner corner shade. My face highlight, I should say. Okay, so now look number 2, we're starting with a fluffy crease brush and the shade Joey. And I am just gonna be blending that all over this crease. In hindsight, I'm gonna go in with this pink shade, spoiler alert, but I probably could have just blended out with the pink shade only. But I wasn't sure how that would work as a transition, so I went in with Joey to be safe. Okay, so now I'm going in with Slice, and that's a kind of middle-sized fluffy blending brush. I'm just adding depth to the crease. Blending that out again with the big fluffy brush I used with the shade Joey. And then for some reason, I decided to go in with a flat brush and the shade Sugar Cube before finishing my crease. I don't know what I was doing. But anyway, now I'm going in with like a pointy bullet brush and the shade Snugglebug. And Snugglebug actually blended out really nicely. So that's what I'm saying. I could have just taken that shade probably by itself and just blended it out without adding like yellow and orange to the mix and had this truly be an all pink look. But that's all right. So now I'm just blending over that with the other shade Slice, and then building that pink back up, and then building up Sugar Cube again because I didn't love the blend I had between Sugar Cube and Snugglebug. And then I said I was going to do my face, and I'll be right back. All right, so now we're going on the lower lash line with the shade Snugglebug. And then blending over that with Slice. And then I don't think I added Furry Friend, no. And then I went in with Sugar Cube on the inner corner. Oh, and I forgot to say I tapped Sugary Sweet over where I had Sugar Cube and Snugglebug to just help that blend. Okay, so again, this is how this look wore after 10.5 hours. I did do a little bit of touching up on the shimmers, and then I kind of tried to blend out because my eyeliner was transferring, so I blended that out a little bit. But I mean, most of what's like happened on my face was the movement of the eyeliner. I did do a third look that I did not film, where I used the shades Pouch Protective and Ruby, and I did feel like those like didn't last as long. but I also could have just been wearing them for like 12 hours and it took me a while to check. So I don't know. Overall though, I think like I just like amped up the vibrancy, but the sparkles and the shimmers were still there on this look. They just kind of like were a little bit more dull. If I were a smart person, I would have filmed what it actually looked like after 10.5 hours so you could get the vibes. But anyways, talking about the palette, one thing I want to point out, it looks like I haven't touched a single matte eyeshadow in this palette when I have used every single one except Sweet Varieties. And I think that's because these mattes are so like hardly pressed into the pan that like you swirl your brush around and like there's nothing happening. There's like very little kick up, very little fallout from the mattes. Like they are pretty intensely pressed, but as you can see, they do get to a nice pigment. Usually when you have a harder pressed shadow, they're not as pigmented, and they require more of a buildup. That's what I kind of noticed with this palette, but not in a way that like turned me off from wanting to use the palette. I still feel like I was able to get decent pigment like upon like first application. It's just like to where I wanted to get it, it was a little bit more. Anyways, the shimmers, a little bit more crumbly in the pan. You can kind of see how, and I can't tell if there's like grease stains or if that's just like like it looks like there might be like oil coming out of these shimmers, but I can't tell if it's that or if that's just what that might just be the packaging. That might just be the packaging. Anyways, I've used every shimmer except, so I shouldn't say every shimmer. There's 6 shimmers, I've used 4. So I've used Sugary Sweet, Ruby, Pouch Protective, Sugar Cube. Sugar Cube and Sugary Sweet are by far my favorite shimmers, although Nom Nom and Falling with Style are both beautiful as well. The metallics are very smooth, easy to get onto the eye using a brush. You're not required to use a finger if you don't want to. Staining, it's not the worst staining I've ever had, although I did use the pink shade for the first time today, so I guess I'll insert whatever my thoughts are because I'll have washed my face by the time you guys see this. We're going to ignore the eye looks for a different video that you all will see soon, but there was no staining using this palette. When I wiped off that eye look, I didn't have any pink staining at all. But yeah, with the other matte shades I used the, when I did my first look, I used the purple and the orange and I didn't really have a ton of staining. Sugary Sweet didn't really stain my lid when I used it, so really not a ton of staining so far. So yeah, overall thoughts on the palette. I like it. I wanted to compare it though to a couple of things. My first comparison was the Nomad Cosmetics Paradise Islands palette because I feel like these launched pretty close together. They're somewhat similar-ish in color story, I feel like. So I kind of want to see what we're working with here. So as far as looking at similar shades, there might not be a ton of similarities here. Yeah, because like the mattes in the Menagerie palette are definitely more vibrant. Really, there's only a couple of mattes that I think look somewhat close. So this is going to be Seashell from the Nomad palette and Yogurt Drop from the Menagerie palette. So those two mattes are similar. So the first, yeah, those shades are identical. Okay, so we do have a dupe. Even if I find another dupe in here, I really don't think that there's enough overlap between the two to suggest that like they're super similar. Okay, and then let's do Fish from the Nomad Cosmetics palette and Nom Nom from the Menagerie palette. Yeah, ooh, those look pretty together. But yeah, the Paradise Islands one for Nomad is much darker. But those are both super pretty and would probably be a fun combo. I think there's really only the pink shimmery shades that look like they, oh no, there's one more matte. Okay, hold on. So then looking at Dolphin from the Paradise Islands palette and Sweet Varieties from the Menagerie palette. Those are close. I think the Menagerie one's slightly darker. I mean, it's similar enough that I don't know that the difference would really be noticeable on the lid. Okay, and then lastly, the pink shimmers, I think. So this is going to be Sun from the Nomad palette and Sugar Cube from the Menagerie. Yeah, Sugar Cube's more of like a lilac, and this one's more of like a peach. Both very pretty. Yeah, oh my gosh, look at that shine. Okay, so that one is from the Menagerie palette. Can you guys see that? It's so reflective. This one's very reflective also. It's just like more gold, whereas this one's more like silvery. But that's the one from the Nomad palette. Both are stunning. Okay, so I mean, I would say probably similar-ish vibes in that they're light, colorful eyeshadow palettes, and you have pinks and oranges and blues and purples. But ultimately, I wouldn't say they're dupes, and I think you could probably actually get some nice looks combining these palettes. That might be fun. The other palette I wanted to compare it to is the only Menagerie palette I still have in my collection, which is the collab they did with the Nets Makeup Corner. This is the Serenity palette. So that's what this palette looks like. It's a little bit messy, which I will say, this palette, this new one's like not nearly as messy as the old one, so I think they might have switched up their formula a little bit. Or I maybe just haven't used this palette as much as I used the other one. So really, now that I'm looking at it, there's not really any similar shades. It's almost like this is the lighter, like, version. Like, you could almost like make these one giant palette. Yeah, because these are going to be like the purples are more cool tones, so there's not really a purple that goes. And then the blue, this one's too light and too dark to go with Falling in Style. That green's darker than Nom Nom. Those would be the two closest, I would say. And then this is way too much of like a hot neon pink compared to Snugglebug. So really, I don't think there's any similarities. Again, these two might also make nice companions. So anyways, yeah, I am actually really happy with the palette. When I used it the first time, I did have a little bit of a struggle with that first look because I was like, Sugary Sweet was darker than the mattes that I used, and I sort of didn't really know what to do with that. And then in the look I did yesterday, I used Furry Friend, which did deepen it, so the look was darker, like the mattes were darker than the metallics. And then today, my mattes are darker than the metallics. But like, Falling with Style kind of coordinates with this Sweet Varieties matte, and I'm like, I'm not sure, other than using Furry Friend, how you deepen this up so that that shimmer isn't your deepest shade. But with that being said, maybe you do like different kinds of eye looks with this palette where you just do like a smoky shimmer all over the lid and you just use the lighter mattes to blend it out. I don't know. But yeah, overall super happy with this palette. I think if you like this color story and you're open to, you know, having some variety and not needing like the deepest shade in the palette to be a matte, I think you'd like this palette. I enjoyed it. The packaging is so cute too. Look at, oh my gosh, adorable. Okay, anyways, with that being said, I'll see you guys next time. Bye.